In this demo we're checking out a very cool new phaser pedal, introducing Larva from Beetronics. This is essentially a 6-stage analog phaser with a preamp section that's separate and morphing features as well. What makes the morphing feature possible is you have 2 independent phasers. You've got rate and depth for phaser 1 and rate and depth for phaser 2 there. You've also got a toggle switch here, so you can toggle for just the preamp or phaser or vibrato as well. And you can, over this side, create some morphing transitions between these 2 phaser settings. I'll run through the features as we go. You can already see that it's absolutely gorgeous looking, so let's check out some sounds. First up then, clean tone. So, usual settings on the amp. That's the Morgan MVP 66, just right on the very edge of breakup. And straight off the bat, I'm going to show you 3 cool settings that you can use with Red Hot Chili Peppers Black Summer, 2 of which you can switch between. And the beginning of the Black Summer one has vibrato. It's used, I think, on the CE1, but this does it too, right? So you get this. Hear that? Very subtle. So that's the vibrato setting, right? And then over the top of that we have this phaser riff, which is great, which goes... That's lovely, isn't it? And then this funky... Now, with the ramp set to 0 and the shape in the far left position, if I tap on the left-hand foot switch, it's going to zip across to the second setting, right? So the first one is this. Tap. And that is perfect for the solo. So if we add a bit of fuzz... Next example I'm going to show you is Incubus Vitamin, which is a brilliant tune. The intro of that has a really cool phaser tone, and I'm going to show you how to obtain that, right? So first of all, the basic phaser setting. So I'm just really using the depth and speed now, right? And we have... Okay. So not a ton of movement, right? But there's a little bit of pre that I've got in there. I also want to show you the resonance, because that is a key part of this, right? It's at 0 at the moment. Let's crank that right up. Loads more top end, and it accentuates the sort of the peaks and troughs, right? Much more pronounced. I also want to show you the preamp as well, because that plays a part. So first of all, I've got it at about 9 o'clock, so it's not doing a tremendous amount. But if I just click over to the preamp setting only, and then with the pedal off, and with the pedal on, not a load happening. It's adding a teeny bit of grip there, so you can get quite subtle. But if I crank that to, let's say, halfway, that's having a huge effect, right? And again, there's no phasing going on. This is just the preamp. If we put the phaser on, probably a bit too much preamp, isn't it, with that? So I'm going to notch that back to about 10 o'clock. start to see how these individual components start to work together, right? Now we're going to do a similar approach for L7 stuck here again. That actually uses a really fast sort of vibrato, but at the moment we've got quite a quick rate and depth. But I'm going to show you how the vibe works with the resonance, right? But let's have a listen to the phaser first. We have this. That's not far off that tone, but it's not quite there. So let's move over to the vibe. That sounds like this. Sounds a bit too mild, right? But now, check it out with the resonance. I've pulled the resonance up to about 3 o'clock. Check it out now. So you can hear the resonance adding that sort of extra trebly accentuation to the warble, right? Next up, a little bit of Silverchair, drop detuning for this one. We're looking at Abuse Me. Again, I've kept things simple here. Tiny bit of preamp and literally just the rate and the speed to give you this. Quite a nice sweep, right? Next up, we're looking at Fu Manchu dimension shifter. That's got a really cool distorted kind of phasey sweep going on. And to get that, I've got a low rate and a high depth. And I'm not using any of the resonance or any of that sort of stuff either. This is just those two knobs, really. A little bit of pre, but now if I put the abelier on before it, can already hear a much more defined sweep, right, of what the sweep's doing. So Fu Manchu dimension shifter goes like this. Now let's bring the resonance back into play. With these settings, again, I'm just really using rate, depth and resonance. Tiny bit of preamp as well, and we're in the phaser setting. But the example I want to show you is Sonic Youth's The Diamond Sea. It's got that sort of vowel-y type of thing going on, and you can get an approximation of that with this, right? Right, it's not exactly vowel-y, but you know, you're in the ballpark, right? Now let me show you the ramping options very quickly, because there's tons of stuff you can do with this, and this is really getting into realms of your imagination really. So you can flit between the two settings. So if you set phaser 1 to be a certain way and phaser 2 to be a certain way, there are different ways that you can ramp or switch or morph in between those two, right? And the ramping knob determines how quickly it morphs between the two, and the shape determines the sort of morphing behavior, okay? So with just the phaser setting like this, we'd have so that is our phaser 1 setting. Now with the ramp at 0, if I press the left hand button, foot switch, it zips straight over to the second one, right? And it'll go back once I press it again, like this. Now the second shape basically is symmetrical, right? So you're going to go hold it down and it'll move across, and then if you take your foot off, it'll move back at the same speed that you've set the ramping to. So that would be like this. Still got my foot on it. Take my foot off. It morphs back the other way, right? Now the third one's cool. You hold it down to move across, and as soon as you take your foot off, it immediately zips back. Okay, so that sounds like this. So I hope you've enjoyed the demo. It's an absolutely cracking pedal. Looks amazing, sounds amazing, has some really unique features. And I'm going to play you out with some morphing and pearl jams present tense. See you soon.